On my wedding night, I received an urgent business trip for a confidential scientific research mission. Before leaving, he entrusted his personal account to his childhood friend Ethan for safekeeping, but he didn't know that he had already had an affair with his wife Lena. After 6 years of research, I returned home exhausted. But then he saw Lynn Rowe walking out of the villa with Ethan. Mrs. Lin grabbed the local specialties I was carrying and threw them into the trash can. Xiao Zhou bought us 3 school district houses, and you think these rotten potatoes are dirty enough to feed to dogs? Lena threw the pregnancy test stick in my face. You're pregnant with your 3rd child, you'd better sign the divorce agreement and get back to the mountains. The father sighed on the phone. Xiao Zhou built a pig farm for our family, so you can just think of it as having 2 more sons. I signed the divorce agreement in despair. At this time, the tutor called, his voice full of urgency and trust. The technical theory you proposed before has been verified. The National Major Scientific Research Project urgently needs your participation. Only you can take on the core part of the project. Come quickly. Take the rotten things you dug up in the ravines and get out. The sack of potatoes was hit hard on me. I looked at Mrs. Lin, who had been so friendly to me 6 years ago, and now looked at me with extreme disgust. And he once said that in this life, he would not marry anyone other than his wife. He just hid behind Mrs. Lin and never looked at me again. My brother-in-law, whom I once treated like my own brother, looked at me with impatience. Aaron, aren't you doing well as a farmer in Shanghai? You didn't come back to make trouble just because you saw that my family is rich. My sister worked so hard to build a career, and now you come back and reap the fruits of her labor? The way he looked at me was full of disgust for those poor relatives. At the beginning, time was tight and the task was heavy, so I just said a few words to Lena and left. I don't know how she told her family about it. What are you still doing here? You look like a beggar. It's really unlucky. Go, 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 go quickly. Mrs. Lin pretended to chase me away. Where research is done, supplies are scarce. I was anxious to reunite with my family, and I no longer cared about appearance. Unexpectedly, Mrs. Lin called me a beggar. I studied nonstop day and night just to reunite with them as soon as possible. Hearing what they said, I felt really chilled. Thinking of this, I took out my bank card. Lena, I didn't mean to stay away from coming back these years. I really had my reasons. I have saved some money. Please let me in first. I handed the bank card forward, but my brother-in-law snatched it away, threw it to the ground, and stomped on it twice. Who cares about your $1,000? You are not qualified to be my brother-in-law. When I heard what my brother-in-law said, I was stunned. I am not qualified to be his brother-in-law. What does that mean? I was just about to ask when I heard a brake sound behind me. I turned my head and saw a Porsche parked firmly behind me. Mrs. Lin, who had a grumpy face just now greeted him happily. Ethan, you're back? Brother-in-law, you've worked hard. Are you tired? I'll help you carry your things. The brother-in-law also rushed over to show his courtesy. I turned my head and saw a man and 2 children getting out of the car. Lena also rushed over and hugged a child. I was left out in the cold. I was stunned when I saw Ethan in a well-dressed suit, and then I saw the child in Lena's arms. I had some bad thoughts in my mind. Lena, what is this? The woman who had been silent just now seemed to have found her backbone at this moment. Aaron, let's just part ways now that we're fine. Look at the gap between us now. Lena looked at the Porsche, then at my clothes that had turned white and my shoes that were slightly cracked. I didn't say anything, just stared at Ethan. I didn't expect that after 10 years of relationship, the person I once regarded as a brother would treat me like this. Looking at those 2 children, I couldn't stop feeling angry. Ethan didn't care. It's just a good thing you're back. It saves us the trouble of going to the mountains and forests to look for you. Go get a divorce when you have time. You're not worthy of Lena now. The moment I heard Ethan's words, I couldn't hold back any longer. I clenched my fist and punched Ethan hard. Lena screamed, and Mrs. Lin froze in place. After he reacted, he immediately fought back, and I took 2 solid punches from him. My brother-in-law and Mrs. Lin also joined in. 3 people were pressing me, and I was at a disadvantage. In the end, they just beat me unilaterally. I couldn't dodge at all, and could only let their fists fall on me. Finally, Lena couldn't stand it anymore and called a halt. Finally, my brother-in-law kicked me viciously in the stomach. Don't be shameless. I gave you some face and didn't drive you away, but now you are driving me away and being a slut. Get out of my house. I'll beat you up every time I see you next time. Huh. Mrs. Lin spat harshly at me as I lay on the ground. What a poor thing. Now you are also trying to make connections. Can you please have some shame? Why don't you take a piss and look at the way you look now? You are such a poor fellow. How can you be worthy of me? My daughter, I advise you to divorce Lena as soon as possible. I was beaten so hard that I saw stars and could only look at the 2 men in a daze. The whole family happily escorted Lena and Ethan back home. When Lena left, she just glanced at me indifferently. My mom's idea is also mine. Let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get a divorce tomorrow. It's really embarrassing to have a loser like you occupying the toilet without doing anything. The lover who used to be so close to me is now mocking me with such cold words. I feel very disappointed. Seeing that the whole family had entered the house, they locked the iron gate outside. I was speechless as he looked like he was worried that I would steal. After lying outside for a long time, I finally managed to stand up. I limped towards my old house. It hasn't been cleaned for a long time and is full of dust. After settling in, I called my dad. My original intention of calling was to get my dad's support, but what I didn't expect was that after he listened to my description of the whole incident, he started cursing. Aaron, what are you doing? You ignored your family and Lena for 6 years, and now you come back and make trouble at their house. Do you know what the people in the village say about you? Can you be more sensible? If it weren't for Ethan and Lena's help, our family would have collapsed long ago. Do you really hate to see our family in such good shape? You go and make trouble as soon as you get home. My father's scolding made me a little bit unbelievable, but from his words, I gradually understood the truth. It turned out that he had received a lot of benefits from Lena and Ethan, so he could accuse me so righteously. I heard him say that Ethan also gave his family some money to build a farm. I suddenly laughed. This idea and the feasible plan were all made by me. I had originally planned to give it to my father after I got married. I didn't expect the task to be so urgent. I had no choice but to hand all these things over to Ethan. Unexpectedly, he turned around and used my money and my things to bribe my family members, and shamelessly took the credit for himself. The pain in my body made me gasp. Since they are so ruthless, don't blame me for being cruel. But what I didn't expect was that the next day, someone banged on my door. When I looked, it turned out to be my dad, with some people following him. I was stunned for a moment, then opened the door and was about to invite them in to sit down. I didn't expect my dad to slap me in the face. Unfilial son, kneel down. He yelled at me before I could even react to what was happening. 2 people jumped out from behind him, pushed me down, and tried to force me to kneel down. I was caught off guard and was forced to my knees. You disappeared without a word for 6 years. People in the village said you were in jail. You brought shame upon your family. If Ethan hadn't subsidized our lives, we would have collapsed long ago. Ethan is no different from a half-son to me. As soon as you came back, you forgot about our brotherhood and started to make trouble. And you even threatened their whole family. How dare you? I originally thought that if you were to be quiet, both sides would give you food to eat. But what about you? A man should be upright. Can't you be more tolerant? I just looked at him stubbornly, without any intention of bowing my head. He sighed and looked at me disappointedly. This child is incorrigible. Take him away. As soon as I finished speaking, I was pushed down. Downstairs, I saw Ethan and Lena. Both of them looked very proud of themselves. I knew this was Lena's trick. She knew my father's character and insisted on calling him over, just to divorce me. I'm a little disappointed. Let's go. They didn't say where they were going, but we all knew it. On the way, Lena handed me a divorce agreement. It clearly stated that I was kicked out of the house. I laughed. It was obviously her who made the mistake. How could she be so shameless as to make such a shameless request? The betrothal gift I gave out included some other property, which was quite a lot. Now Lena is not bearing children for me. Should I return the money? I tried to fight it, but Mrs. Lin screamed as if someone had touched her sore spot. How dare you bring this up? You left without saying goodbye on your wedding night. Do you know what they said about our Lin family? How did you ruin my beautiful daughter? If it weren't for Ethan. Mrs. Lin looked like she was gritting her teeth. Now I understand everything. It turns out that I am the one who fails to judge people. Why didn't I see through the hypocrisy of this family at the beginning? I stopped talking and closed my eyes. But Lena on the side screamed. Aaron, so much time has passed. There is no feeling between you and me anymore. You have said so much. There is no point in continuing to argue. It is better to part ways amicably. Besides, I really don't have any feelings for you anymore. If you continue to pester me, you won't be able to bear the consequences. She showed me a picture of a pregnancy test stick with 2 bars. Just sign it, and I'll give you some living expenses. The brother-in-law said dissatisfiedly, Sister, I have seen many people like him. His appetite is insatiable. He asks you for 1,000 today and 100,000 tomorrow. Don't give him a penny. You have worked hard to earn every penny. If you give it to him, he will shamelessly take it away. Lena, your brother is right. No matter how rich we are, we can't start this. Don't give him money. It's not easy for you to build your career. Don't give him a penny. Don't start this. I heard them slander me as a money-obsessed, snobbish person in just a few words. I looked at Lena's smug look again and thought of the pregnancy test stick. I fell silent immediately and reached out to take the divorce agreement. Just sign my name. I agree to you now, not because I'm scared, but because I feel disgusted and don't want to have anything to do with you beasts anymore. But what belongs to me, I will take it back sooner or later. Lena sighed. Aaron, don't brag. I understand that you can't accept it, but you are no different from the homeless people out there. The adult world is not as easy as you think. You can't move forward without money. Now that I had made up my mind to draw a line in the sand, I closed my eyes and said no more. We arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau soon. I don't know if it's because Ethan specifically explained it. The person who handled the formalities was quick, and I got the divorce certificate soon. Meanwhile, Ethan and Lena were happily taking photos and getting their marriage certificate. And my father was also busy taking care of them. I saw Ethan looking at me with eyes full of pride and disdain. I just think it's funny. He took my money and slept with my wife. He has no guilt at all. After his gambler father died, his mother ran away. It was me, because we are brothers, that asked my father to take him home and give him some support. Otherwise, he might have ended up in some slum. But I can only blame myself for trusting them too much. If my own father is like this, what else can I expect? I didn't want to watch anymore and was about to leave. They followed suit, and the brother-in-law looked disgusted. Sister, I'm right, isn't it? This kind of person is disgusting. Once he finds an opportunity, he will pester you. Here he comes. You and your brother-in-law should be careful. Before I could say anything, the phone suddenly rang. When I looked, it was a call from my tutor. Hey, Aaron, the technical proposal you submitted earlier has been reviewed and approved. The government attaches great importance to it. Where are you? I'll send someone to pick you up. This is very important. I was stunned for a moment. Then a look of joy appeared on my face, and then I gave him my current address. During the 6 years of business travel, I spent most of my time on this technology. I didn't expect to pass it ahead of schedule. After hanging up the phone, I found that the whole family was looking at me as if I were a monkey. Then I realized that the volume of the phone speaker was a bit loud. It's so funny. You say it's a national technology? Look at how shabby you are now. If you can get a national technology, I can walk on my head while standing upside down. Mrs. Lin laughed loudly. It instantly attracted the attention of people around. My brother-in-law laughed out loud. Could it be that he couldn't save face after leaving my sister, who was such a good partner, so he hired someone to act in the film? Oh my God, I laughed so hard that my stomach hurt. You don't have to do this to attract my attention. I've already said that I don't have any feelings for you anymore. The way you are now only makes me think you are immature and funny. My father looked at me with disappointment. You haven't done anything for 6 years, and you lied as soon as you came back. You disappoint me so much. Ethan just smiled and said nothing. Mrs. Lin was already talking big and exaggerated what happened after I came back to tell everyone around her. The people around me looked at me as if I were loading cargo. They didn't leave, just stood there looking at me, trying to see what tricks I was playing. The tutor might be really anxious. Not long after, I saw several department cars and a Rolls-Royce driving towards me. They couldn't tell where the car came from and kept laughing at me. But when the car stopped steadily in front of me, when the unique label on the car body is revealed, their expressions froze for a moment. Then he laughed even louder. You've been doing pretty well these past 6 years, and you've got enough money to hire someone like this. It must have cost a lot, right? After you've done this in front of us, you're probably going to have to eat in the dark in the future, right? Other curious passers-by also started laughing. There are weirdos every day, but I'll see the one who pretends to be this bad today. Ethan also ran up to me at this time. Aaron, don't play this game. I've taken care of your family for you for so long, and it's fine if you don't show any gratitude. However, I am a magnanimous person and I won't argue with you. If you kowtow here and beg me, I can give you a job with food and shelter so that you don't end up living with those homeless people and then come to me to cry about your regrets. I was too lazy to pay attention to their ridicule and walked straight to the car. The car door opened, and it turned out to be my high-profile junior brother Yi Ming. He respectfully called me senior brother, and then said to me with a happy look on his face, "The mentor sent me back to pick you up. Do you need to bring anything else?" I shook my head. Let's go. What about these people? He looked at the people surrounding me in confusion. I didn't even turn my head. They're just some clowns. Don't bother with them. Let's go. When the brother-in-law heard this, he immediately became angry. Aaron, you are addicted to acting, right? He stretched out his hand to hit me. But he was stopped by the bodyguard who got off the car later. If you harm a state employee, are you a spy? The bodyguard shouted harshly. Mrs. Lin couldn't sit still when she saw her precious son being caught. He hurried over and said, "What are you guys doing? Why are you arresting my son for no reason? He is the one who caused the trouble." She pointed in my direction. The bodyguard ignored him, and the other person showed his work certificate. They had never encountered such a scene before and immediately started making a fuss. Aaron, I asked you to let me go. Don't obstruct public servants from doing their work. When the people around saw this scene, they started talking about it. Are all the fakes so realistic nowadays? I almost believed it when I saw it. Who says it's not true? But I think I've seen that young man in front of me before. The man flipped through his phone, then covered his mouth and screamed. Oh my God, this person is Yi Ming, a rising star in the new energy circle. Look, there is a photo of him here. Suddenly, a group of people gathered around him, and everyone was shouting. Then he looked at his junior brother's face and made up his mind. Now, the way those people looked at me had changed. But I no longer have time to think about so much. Get in the car and leave. At this time, Ethan shouted impossible a few times, but after he looked at the photo, the expression on his face changed from astonishment to enthusiasm. He immediately came over and took his fellow apprentice's hand. Mr. Yi, I'm Ethan, the president of Zhou Group. Let's exchange contact information. Aaron and I are good brothers. Seeing him licking his face like that, I felt a little impatient. He is not my brother. Let's go. Don't keep the mentor waiting for too long. The brother's face, which had been smiling gently, suddenly changed. Okay, let's go then. He waved impatiently at Ethan and told someone to leave his brother-in-law behind, and we drove away. The remaining group of people stayed where they were with complicated thoughts. In the car, the junior brother's voice sounded with a hint of admiration. "Brother, you are really amazing. You have mastered such a difficult technique." I waved my hand nonchalantly, and after chatting for a while, he changed the topic to Ethan and the others. That group of people just now. I thought about it and realized that they would know sooner or later. So I didn't hide anything and told him the whole story in detail. The junior brother was furious. If I had known earlier, I shouldn't have let them off so easily. I should have slapped each of them twice before leaving. It was kind of funny to see him standing up for me. My junior fellow apprentice, with whom I have only been giving guidance and communicating for a while, can empathize with me and worry about me so much. But those people who have lived with me for so long and taken so much money from me have done so many heartbreaking things. But it doesn't matter anymore. After all, we have recognized the true face of that group of people. After arriving at his tutor's place, a hint of joy appeared on his usually calm face. This technology has received strong support from the government. All the funding applications I submitted have been approved, and your reward is also under review. I estimate that it will be soon. In order to retain talents like you, the higher-ups are willing to spend money. I nodded, and the instructor continued. Now this technology needs to be implemented, right here in your hometown. We need a person in charge. I recommend you. And the teacher agreed. In my hometown? The instructor nodded and said, "Yes, you have been out for 6 years. You should spend more time with your family." When I heard him say this, my face froze. My junior student standing next to me couldn't wait to tell the instructor everything I had just said. The instructor's expression became increasingly grim. "This is outrageous. You work so hard for the country, and it's fine if they don't understand you, but they treat you like this. I will report this to the front, and I will definitely help you solve this problem." Looking at the teacher's angry face. "Teacher, it's okay. It's not worth your worrying about such a small matter. I can handle it myself." "That's fine. If you need any help, you must tell me." "Uh-huh." After a few more pleasantries, the tutor left. My junior brother looked at me curiously. "Brother, how are you going to deal with them?" He was rubbing his hands, looking eager to try. "You'll know when the time comes." I know Ethan. He has no foresight and always likes to put down the powerful and flatter the weak. Now he has made a fortune with my money, which is beyond my expectation. It's not difficult to find his mistakes and defeat him. It just takes some effort. As for Lena, when we were dating and getting married, she told me that she would marry no one else but me. Before I left on my business trip, she was very considerate and allowed me to tell her most of my financial situation. Unexpectedly, she did such a thing with Ethan. Think of those 2 kids who got out of that Porsche. I couldn't help but feel sad. The child looked like he was 5 or 6 years old. These 2 people must have hooked up with each other since I went on a business trip, or they have been secretly colluding with each other for a long time. I was on a business trip to research a project and signed a confidentiality agreement to ensure that things progressed smoothly. I couldn't tell anyone anything, so I had to find an excuse to tell Lena. At that time, she looked well-behaved and said she would wait for me to come back home. This made me soften my heart, but what I didn't expect was that she was waiting for me like this. I will definitely take back what I deserve. When the time comes, I will pay back what they gave me 100-fold. During this period of time, I have been dealing with the tasks assigned by my tutor. The factory has been built and is gradually going into production. Since we parted at the Civil Affairs Bureau that day, my father was the only one who sent me messages asking me to go back and apologize. Naturally, I won't pay much attention to this kind of information. I asked my junior fellow student to take care of the company's affairs, and I was given the title of chief expert. I just ignored it, and I slowly started to take revenge on Ethan and the others. I first sent people to investigate what happened after I left, as well as their movements over the years. I looked at the thick stack of results before me. The more I turned, the uglier my expression became. No wonder his father would do his best to protect Ethan. It turned out that his illegitimate son had benefited a lot from Ethan. And Lena had been hooking up with Ethan long before she married me. Thinking back to the past, I felt a surge of anger at having been deceived. I felt unbalanced for myself. I had been enduring day after day in such a difficult environment just to be reunited with them as soon as possible. Unexpectedly, they gave me such a big gift. Without thinking much, I immediately decided to start with my brother-in-law. Once he runs out of money, he will definitely go to Ethan to ask for it. At my instruction, the company under my junior brother has taken away many orders from Ethan's company. He must be extremely anxious by now. When people are in desperate situations, they will definitely have nowhere to go. So, I asked my junior to spread the news that we were looking for partners for the new energy project. Ethan has wanted to enter this field for a long time, but he just didn't have the opportunity. He confirmed again and again with his assistant that the company was indeed looking for partners. His face lit up with joy. There is always a way out. God really favors me. Please help me make an appointment. I want to talk to their chief expert in person. The assistant agreed and left. Ethan was immersed in joy and naturally did not notice the disdain in his assistant's eyes. When Ethan got the address of the villa, he was a little stunned, and then he was ecstatic. Because he felt that this cooperation was a sure thing, He would definitely not believe it if the chief expert's first intention was not their company, because he got a private address. He called Lena over as well, and both of them couldn't suppress the smiles on their faces, and they also brought gift boxes. This was the first time for Ethan and Lena to come to this villa, that's all. The villas in this area are extremely expensive. People who live here are either rich or noble, or have strong backgrounds. I wanted to laugh when I saw the two of them walking into the door with such caution as to be afraid of breaking something. It's the first time I see them showing signs of weakness after coming back for so long. It's really rare. I watched them from the second floor, and they soon noticed me. Seeing me here, Ethan was a little surprised, and then he looked gloating. Aaron, you followed us to this place. Do you know where this is? You'd better get out of here. Don't blame me for not reminding you. You might end up messing with someone you can't afford to mess with. I laughed when I heard his words. There's no one here that I can't afford to offend, but I advise you to be nicer, otherwise you'll really offend someone you can't afford to offend. Seeing me coming down, he pushed me in dissatisfaction, trying to drive me out of the villa. Someone I can't afford to offend? Who? You? Ha ha ha, stop kidding. I don't care how you convince those people to help you act, but if you ruin my business today, I will make you pay for it. He pushed me several times. Lena looked at me with dissatisfaction. Ethan was kind enough to remind you, but you're being sarcastic. If you don't appreciate it, forget it. At this time, there were two people outside the door, my junior fellow student and another colleague. Seeing this, Ethan rushed over. So you two are outside. I'm Ethan from Zhou Technology Company, Limited. This is my business card. We're invited here to discuss supply cooperation. By the way, just now someone followed us into the villa, and we tried to stop him and make him leave, but we didn't expect him to be so shameless. Ethan said as he pointed his finger in my direction. The junior brother was stunned for a moment. Then he smiled with an ambiguous meaning. You want to discuss cooperation, right? Then you have to talk to the chief expert. Ethan was stunned for a moment, then looked at the person next to his junior with a smile. Just as he was about to speak, Mr. Zhou, the chief expert is not him, it's him. Junior brother raised his chin and faced me. Ethan was stunned for a moment. He looked at me, who was standing there in a bit of a mess, and then laughed. That's impossible. You really like to joke around. I've told you who it is, believe it or not. The junior fellow looked helpless. It was then that Ethan realized. He looked at me with disbelief in his eyes. Why? Don't you really know why I went to Shanghai? My junior brother came up to me and said, Brother, do you want to kick these two out? I smiled and said nothing. When Ethan heard what his junior said, he suddenly realized what was going on. He immediately came up to me shamelessly. Aaron, why didn't you tell us earlier that you were the chief expert? It made us have such a hard time finding the expert. This is your fault. Ethan said as he pulled Lena up with him. Aaron, I'm sorry for what happened before, but we had no choice but to do it. Let's put things aside. My company is still strong now. Let's find a place to have a good chat about our future cooperation. I will definitely give you a satisfactory answer. Ethan's words refreshed my perception of his shamelessness. I didn't expect that even at this point, he would still come up to me to discuss cooperation. Unfortunately, it's too late. I have told you many times to speak properly and not to provoke anyone you cannot afford to offend. As for cooperation, don't even think about it. From the beginning to the end, I have never considered a humble person like you. You can do whatever you want. I made a gesture to see the guest off, but Ethan still looked like he wanted to continue pestering her. At this moment, his cell phone suddenly rang. Lena's cell phone also started ringing. When they both picked up their phones, the first thing they heard was read the news. At this point, I no longer had the time to continue joining them in the fun. I asked the security to send them away. By the time they see the news and realize what happened, I have been kicked out. I handed over all the clues I knew to the court without reservation. As for the media reporters, I also revealed a lot. After all, some entertainment modules are extremely interested in the boss's private life. I took Ethan to court for illegal possession and defrauding others of their money. Evidence of Lena's extramarital affair was also submitted. Those children are the best proof of this. In order to help me feel at ease sooner, my tutor specially asked some old friends to help me speed up the process. The media are also very insightful. As long as they are given a direction, they can find out most things. The exaggerated description turned it into very attractive news. For a time, all kinds of Ethan's products were boycotted wildly. Many reporters gathered downstairs of the company. The entire company was in panic. And my brother-in-law was the last straw that broke the camel's back. Seeing his sister's business going so smoothly, he had long wanted to get involved in it. I secretly found several people to help me and defrauded him of a huge sum of money. He couldn't afford the money, so he begged Mrs. Lin to mortgage the house. The mortgage money that I just received has almost been spent, and he wanted to keep up with the so-called main force. He took the risk of borrowing money from a loan shark. Now these people are blocking the door of Ethan's company and demanding the money back. Ethan was already overwhelmed by the recent events in the company. My brother-in-law has done this again. He could not bear it any longer. He borrowed all he could. But as the saying goes, it is easier to add icing on the cake than to provide timely assistance. Because of his current situation, his former friends all avoid him, fearing that they might be harmed in the slightest. Neither he nor Lena wanted to declare bankruptcy. After all, the company is still there, so there is still hope, even if it really goes bankrupt. All their belongings had to be liquidated, and they would have to go back to their previous hard lives. Naturally, they were not happy. So, they sought medical treatment in a hurry and turned their attention to me again. Looking at the two people blocking the parking lot, I was stunned. I was just nonchalantly turning the keys of this luxury car in my hand, waiting for the next words from these two people. After what happened, Ethan was no longer as cheerful as he was when I first saw him. Now, his eyes are full of red bloodshot, and his whole appearance has become dim. The clothes were draped on his body in a mess. What is the difference between him now and me back then? Except that he is truly a lost dog. It can be seen that he has been very anxious during this period. Lena wasn't much better. She looked listless, and her once straight spine now looked a little bent. It seems that the experiences during this period have made them both face the reality. Aaron, for our friendship over the years, please help us. Ethan looked humble and submissive, no longer as arrogant as before. Lena looked at me with a complicated expression. Aaron, I have put a lot of effort into this company. Can you please give me a favor and let us go this time? Lena's words made me speechless. For her face? How much is her face worth? When she indulged her family in beating me up, when she threw the pregnancy test stick in front of me. Everything between us is gone. She is so cruel to me. How can she ask me to be tolerant of her? I can't help you. You guys have done too many bad things. I'm just a small homeless man. What can I do to help you? I put a lot of emphasis on the word tramp. When Ethan heard this, he suddenly slapped himself. Aaron, I was blind to your potential before. I apologize to you. We are brothers, so please don't be so picky with me. As long as you agree to let us become your partners, I will do whatever you want. When I heard what he said, I rolled my eyes. Ethan, you really are getting more shameless as you get older. When you slept with my wife, why didn't you think we were brothers? Don't bother me anymore. Everything that happened now is your own fault. Don't force me to ask the security guard to kick you out. After hearing what I said, Lena could no longer sit still. She stopped Ethan behind her and said, Aaron, after all, you are still bothered by what happened in the past, but it has already happened. I will never divorce Ethan and be with you. Just give up on this idea. Your aggressive attitude will only make me hate you more and more. After hearing what Lena said, I was even more speechless. It's hard to explain to this kind of person. I drove away and ignored them. In the following days, under my deliberate instructions, Ethan had no choice but to declare bankruptcy, but that was not the end. They took my money and haven't paid it back yet. The company went bankrupt and Ethan was subpoenaed many times. Lena found me out of desperation. Aaron, I can divorce Ethan and be with you, but I won't abort the baby in your belly. And I want you to stop pursuing this matter with Ethan. I looked at Lena, who looked fearless. I refreshed my understanding of her again. Lena, are you drunk? You come to me and say such nonsense. Why do you think I will be a cuckold and treat a second-hand product as a treasure? Please go back and look for a mirror. Just go away and don't force me to call security. Lena bit her lip, looking extremely humiliated. But you made such a big noise, wasn't it just to attract my attention? I couldn't bear to listen to her anymore, so I called the security guard to chase her away. My mother passed away early, and I don't know how to get along with girls. When I was dating her before, I really liked her, and I pampered her and coaxed her wholeheartedly. I didn't even want to say a harsh word to her. But what I didn't expect was that the next day Mrs. Lin came to my house with her ex-brother-in-law. There was a hint of flattery in both of their smiles. Aaron, you didn't explain it to me before, which caused me to hit him so hard. I apologize to you here. I knew that Ethan was a bad guy. I apologize to you. I will ask Lena to beat the child. You two live a good life, which is more important than anything else. Yes, brother-in-law in my heart. You are the only brother-in-law I recognize. Faced with their fawning looks, I showed no mercy and directly asked the bodyguards to throw them out. Knowing that things would not end well for the family, I turned my attention to new projects. Wait until I hear news from this family again. Ethan has been sentenced by the court. He illegally appropriated and defrauded my money, and also did dirty things in the company. Now the company is bankrupt and can't afford to pay compensation, so he has no choice but to go to jail. Lena cheated on me during my marriage, and the court ordered her to return all the betrothal gifts I had given her to me. Former Mrs. Lin had no choice but to sell all the family property to barely plug this loophole. The loan shark that my ex-brother-in-law borrowed from came back, and when he couldn't come up with the money, they broke one of his legs. He was limping and looked really pitiful. Those children were also persuaded to drop out because they could not afford the tuition fees of private schools. The family moved back to their previous small house, and they quarreled every 3 or 5 days. I felt extra happy when I heard the news. My father also tried to persuade me not to be so cruel. But I told him that if he still wanted me to take care of him in his old age, he should just shut up. He was silent because the illegitimate son whom he treated as a treasure received the news that Ethan went bankrupt. He took away all the money in the family and even sold the farm. Now he is the only one left at home. I can only do odd jobs to maintain my daily life. In an instant, He went from being the big boss of a breeding farm to an unemployed vagrant who was pointed at by the villagers. Naturally, he didn't dare to say anything to me anymore, and he seemed to have a change of heart and came to care about me every now and then. However, after I got what was mine, I paid no further attention to this family. After all, my attention should be focused on more important things. Thanks to my efforts, the project was successfully implemented and the company is booming. I also gradually started a family and built a career.